Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a bit different from what I usually do, though there is a connection to some of my other videos. I'm talking about the use of AI. Fundamentally, I have no problem with it. As a tool to make things better, that's fine. To make things easier, that's sometimes fine. But it is also often just really bad in my opinion. It isn't just the stunning errors AI often makes, but how easy it is for people to deliberately use AI to promote their own falsehoods. So let me start with my own channel. I've used some AI, almost always just to create images that I use in my backgrounds, or maybe a thumbnail. You see, if I were doing live streams or even pre-recorded videos that show my face, I really wouldn't need to put any effort into creating these backgrounds because people seem to pretty much accept a talking head video with no video change. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Watch many news shows and you'll see the anchor person quite a bit, but the camera view keeps changing by zooming in or using a different angle, none of which changes the value of what is being said, but the variety of camera views helps keep viewers' attention. This would work in the YouTube talking head videos too, but you don't see it much because of the additional cost and effort it would take. So people pretty much just accept a single view. But doing what I do, not showing my face at all, means I have to do something else to keep people watching longer, and that's where the backgrounds come in. You'd be surprised how much work that is. For a 10 to 20 minute video, I'll probably spend hours just trying to find images that fit what is being said. If I can't find an image, and that is often the case, I resort to a text overlay, and that happens more than I'd like since I figure they are boring. But sometimes, when I couldn't find an appropriate image, I describe something to AI and hope to get something useful. But that can take a lot of tries. It also reveals a lot of weaknesses in AI. That is, it tends to be very limited in what you get. Consider the image of the guy in a cyberpunk tuxedo which appears at the end of my videos. I tried different things to get different versions, but I found that the person's head they showed tended to be the same 2 or 3 faces. You can't see that part because I replaced it with my reality check icon, so just take my word for it. Or look at any number of channels which put AI images of Filipinos in their thumbnails, and how often they have pretty much the same faces. But it doesn't stop there. When I see a video that sounds like it was created with AI, one of the giveaways is how the script seems to sound like a lot of other videos, and that really bugs me. Sure, you could have a lazy professional write scripts and sound about the same over and over if they are lazy. That just shows lazy people can be as bad as AI. Let me give a general example. On Facebook or elsewhere, you might see videos for some product relating to health. And over again, they'll say there is this one simple thing you can do that only takes 7 or 30 seconds a day. Those seem to be the common time limits. And in each case, after a lot of time listening, they eventually get to the fact that it is taking a pill they sell. And the prices tend to be very similar. Almost as if AI or some professional has figured out the ideal price that will get people to buy. And I love how the same doctor who is supposedly behind the pill will repeatedly make a new breakthrough discovery to increase your energy or lose weight, etc. I mean, come on. How can it be that one guy is making all these major breakthroughs every few months? Or the ingredients. Everything seems to come from what would be considered an exotic country to Westerners. Just like people selling snake oil cures in the 1800s would say it came from a secret Indian recipe. But the ones that really bug me are those that are just dishonest. I mean stuff that is just clickbait based on falsehoods. For example, I've seen a number of Facebook posts about Leah Thomas, a biological man who claims to now be a woman and who competed against women in women's swimming competitions. I see posts saying something like, "The women on such and such swimming team refuse to compete against Leah Thomas," or "this or that swimming organization bans Leah Thomas." Such posts could be true, but I never trust them without some other confirmation. But it goes way beyond that. I've seen plenty of posts declaring things like, "College women's softball team bans Leah Thomas from participating," or "women's basketball team," etc. But Thomas doesn't play those sports. Swimming is their sport. The reported events never happened. It takes no time for AI to churn out such stories, as they only vary in small ways. But what is the result? Well, in this case, those who object to men competing against women love to see stories like this, and you'll see them get lots of likes and comments saying, "It's about time," or similar sentiments. But it's not about time, since it is just fiction. Another example would be stories about certain celebrities leaving the country if their side loses the presidential election, or some rich person buying a TV network and their plans to cancel certain shows on that network, all based on attracting a certain audience who would want it to be true, except it isn't. Or how about videos concerning some famous person doing really nice things for someone? The video may be pretty long, but in the description it will say, "This story is fiction, but it reveals a greater truth." That's just crazy. A false story is just a false story, unrelated to truth. And many of these fake videos don't even tell people the story is fictional, or it is well hidden. One more example would be videos showing supposed scientific or archaeological discoveries, yet the images they show are completely fake. Sure, some of this stuff may be accurate, but how can you possibly tell unless you were already an expert in the field? Even then, I bet you can be fooled. These things are all designed to tell people what they want to hear with no intention to be truthful. It's all about getting clicks, and they'll happily lie to get them. The same things happen with stories about pretty much any political or social issue, and it happens to people on all sides. It's just garbage. Even if a subject is legitimate, overuse of AI also means there's little original thought. Just as so many AI images look much the same, likewise, the words tend to sound very similar. There's little actual creativity, and I don't think that is good at all. Now, have I used AI for my scripts? Well, as a matter of fact, I have. Exactly once. But I may do it more in the future. But here's the thing. I'm not looking for AI to replace writing my own scripts. What I did was, first, I wrote the entire script myself. But I'm well aware that this is not a strength for me. I wanted different ways to say something so I don't get bogged down with certain speech habits. So after I wrote the script, I ran it through AI. It made a lot of changes. If I just accepted the results, it would still be based on my script, so not too bad. However, I didn't stop there. I then placed the two scripts side by side and decided, sentence by sentence, which I would keep. And sometimes just seeing a different way of expressing something will stimulate a version which is different from what I wrote before and different from the AI. In other words, it's still me making the creative choices, regardless of which of these approaches I took. To me, that's a good use for AI, while actually doing the work to be able to take credit for the results. Thanks for watching, and don't let the trolls stop you from speaking out.